Or to this, a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is what would a war between Venezuela and the US look like? It would, I think personally, it would probably look like hmm, a Mack truck or like one of those big gigantic 18 wheelers, absolutely sending a fly to its extinction. That's what I think is going to be here. If it's specifically the United States of America v. Venezuela, I think it's just going to be it would just be that here until their allies come, and then that'll be a different scenario, obviously, and almost immediately. Okay, allies meaning our literal adversaries, Russia and China, stepping up for the interest of Venezuela. Then I can imagine, or not even Venezuela, because I don't think no one actually cares about the Venezuelan people. Let's just start right there. All right, people are only caring about the interest of Maduro. It's not about the Venezuelan people, because if people cared about the Venezuelan people, then a person who actually won the election would be running the country. But instead, right, we have Maduro running the country. But all right, let's continue. Let's jump into the video immediately, guys. All right, I'm sorry for the rant here. Let's do it, guys.
The USS Gerald R. Ford, the world's largest and most powerful aircraft carrier, is in the Caribbean. Is it the latest sign the U.S. is charting a path toward war with Venezuela?
Essentially.
And if so, how might that play out?
I already told
Donald
you.
Trump deployed the Ford and its strike group to the Caribbean to help combat smugglers and narco-terrorists in the region. The Ford CSG and its nearly 4,000 personnel join an already impressive list of U.S. assets in the region, a list that includes another 10,000 sailors and Marines aboard an amphibious ready group, several guided missile destroyers, a not-so-secret special operations vessel called the MV Ocean Trader, and at least one nuclear-powered submarine.
Right.
Oh, and for good measure, the U.S. has another 10 F-35B fifth-generation multi-role stealth fighters stationed on Puerto Rico.
Right. It's guys, not even just that. Understand that the actual aircraft carrier is also carrying multiple fighter jets.
All more than enough to take out any targets in the area, cartel
and
or
then some,
otherwise.
And then some.
Now, we've reported on this before, so for a full breakdown of the legal arguments the White House is using to justify the Caribbean operations, check out SAN.com. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take a look at how U.S. operations in Venezuela might play out against the Maduro regime. Obviously, we have a map here of the area in question, and these different dots represent some, but not all, of the potential targets the U.S. might hit. They are mostly air and naval stations with a few Army or dual-use facilities kind of sprinkled in. Like I said, not an exhaustive list by any stretch, but some sites that the U.S. might find some interest in. The El Libertador Air Base, which is right here, this yellow dot, that is the main Venezuelan air base and logistics hub, the country's main military complex, and the head of the defense ministry would be located here in the capital of Caracas. And on the island of Orchila, that's kind of a strategically located air and naval base. Venezuela
like
has some forces there as well. As you can see, most of all of these facilities are in the northern part of the country along the coastal region. Not a surprise, most Venezuelans live close to the coast. Now, according to experts at places like the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the U.S. does not have enough resources in the area to launch a land invasion into Venezuela. There are only about 14,000 total U.S. personnel in the region, and American doctrine dictates not getting into a fight like that unless you can overwhelm your opponent with vastly superior numbers. Venezuela's combined armed forces total around 100,000, and Maduro says the country's militia numbers in the tens of thousands. So, long-range strikes seem the most likely, followed up by a potential for some special operations forces carrying out covert missions.
Yeah, guys, absolutely. The United States of America basically, let's say, invading or theoretically invading this country here is not going to be something that would actually make a whole lot of sense here. It would have to 100% be, we're going to park offshore and absolutely annihilate you from afar. That's basically what would have to happen, I think, unless we can get a gigantic force specifically within the region to actually do so. And this is kind of why I am on the side of saying that no, we are not there to specifically invade and to specifically get this this illicit ruler, let's say, out of power. We are not there for that purpose. I think we are there for the sole purpose to piss them off, to make them do something crazy, and then Congress will basically have to then say to us, it's okay, we're going to go ahead and do this specific one thing, right? And that means sign all of the war doctrines that are basically required to basically go head to head with a country that is absolutely going to be obliterated in 8 minutes. Guys, that's basically what this is here. That's my opinion. Again, but either way.
To stop incoming U.S. missiles and attack aircraft, Venezuela would need to rely on its inventory of mostly Russian-made air defenses.
Right.
Systems like the S-300VM or Buk M2. They are mobile, but Ukraine's armed forces are taking out those systems left and right in its war against Russia.
With drones.
So it's safe to assume the U.S. is not going to have a problem with the older, mostly outdated systems either.
Right.
Venezuela has 18 older U.S.-made F-16s and 31 Russian-made Su-30 fighter jets, but most are not operational, and neither could hold a candle to any of the U.S. fighters in the region.
Yeah.
On the sea, Venezuela's much smaller Navy would not hold out long against the U.S. either. Aside from several smaller missile and patrol boats, including 2 from Iran, Venezuela's maritime force posture rests on 2 corvettes, 2 frigates, and 2 non-operational conventionally powered submarines. If we go ahead and assume the U.S. and Venezuela get into conflict, all signs point to the U.S. owning the skies fairly quickly
and the sea,
and enforcing a naval blockade without much pushback. Now, that's not to say there might not be a chance for possible American losses, but the experts I spoke to while researching this topic said that the Venezuelan military really doesn't pose much of a threat to the U.S. Okay, so the U.S. owns the skies, say that the U.S. also enforces a naval blockade around the northern part of the country. At that point, F-35s, drones, or a combination of the two could then be used to call in direct fire missions on some precise locations like military bases or older runways and airstrips that the cartels might also be using.
They are.
But a large boots on the ground style operation still doesn't seem likely. As we said earlier, most of the Venezuelan population lives in the most of the population lives in the north, leaving the central and southern portions largely sparsely populated. So U.S. boots on the ground would force most of the Maduro's military that is loyal to him, and the militia would have really nowhere else to go but south into the sparsely populated rural areas, which would create sort of a guerrilla-style insurgent war similar to what the U.S. faced in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, while Congress has declined to block the president's current operations against the alleged smuggling boats, support for military action in Venezuela could and likely would wane the more this conflict escalates.
And that's what I've been saying here, guys, right? Just because we're there, guys, we're in international water. We're allowed to be there. But obviously, anyone who is anyone, let's say anyone who is running a country would be like, oh, bro, why are the Americans, right, like 12, sometimes 80 miles, right, away from our literal, seas and oceans? Why are they there? Right? I mean, so I think any logical person would be like, okay, this may be a problem. Right. And so, of course, Maduro is freaking out and, making all types of crazy videos and spreading literal lies and nonsense right within the country. Look at how we pushed the Americans back, bro. No, you didn't. You didn't do that, bro. What you did was you sent your people out 80 miles into international water thinking that it was one singular U.S. destroyer out there. That's what you did. And then what happens when you found out? What'd you do, bro? Because they don't have the technology, all right, to actually monitor the region in a way that made sense. Instead, they had like a static grid type of scenario that allowed them to basically see where the ship once was. They had to go to that location, then find the ship, right? But by the time they went out and found that ship, what did you see, bro? You found a whole carrier strike group, didn't you? And then you fired at it thinking that it was one singular American ship, then filmed it so you can, send it to your state-run media. That's what you did, right? You played yourself, bro. Like, just be glad that the Americans specifically at that time, which was like last week, decided that they were not going to actually fire on you based on your idiocy. Instead, shoot green flares into the sky. Just be glad that the Americans chose not to absolutely obliterate one of your 3 corvettes. All right. But either way, listen, no one wants this type of scenario. But when we have someone who's running a country to the point where it's being ran into the ground, the economy is absolute trash. You're basically releasing your criminals and telling them to basically, go north, get out of the country type of thing. We'll let you out of the prison. Sure. Just where you going to go? They're going to go north. Right. So the only way to actually kind of fix the scenario of this illegal immigration specifically would be fixing the actual issues that cause the illegal immigration. All right. So Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, right? A good amount of Central America, Mexico, guys, specifically the south of Mexico, right? Like, these places are completely being bombarded by the cartel and all of their nonsense. Okay, all of the local officials are basically in the pockets, including Maduro, including President Scheinbaum of Mexico, right? All of these people are basically like in the pockets of these big bad guys, and you're wondering why things are not getting done here, guys. You're wondering why. So what does Trump do? He sends the entire U.S. Navy, basically, for the most part, a good amount of them, into this region specifically, while maintaining its stance in international waters, guys. It's smart. The smartest thing you possibly could do, under the guise of saying, we're going to go ahead and stop the cartel boats. Bro, listen, you know exactly what's going on here. Congress is not going to go ahead and give you the okay to invade another country. They're not going to. Not another sovereign land. So what's the end game here? Get them to provoke you or us specifically into absolutely obliterating them. They know what we're doing here. Like, you guys keep sending me videos, and all of these videos are like, I wonder if they're trying to provoke. Yes, guys. In fact, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. You know it, and I know it. What is Trump's one or two most important positions and points here? The economy and immigration. Okay. Listen, do you see the gas prices right now? The economy looks decent. All right. Now we need to fix the immigration. We're down 94.7%. This is a really good number, guys. Really, really good number. But, and I mean, there's a big but here. Okay. We need to stop what's actually causing the issues. And we're going to be able to do that by obviously being within the borders, let's say, of Venezuela. So yes, is it a provocation? Guys, of course it is. Listen, you guys have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies. And I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings. And we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry, right? Listen, like and subscribe.